Oh, is this a bed? Yeah. Yeah, for a prisoner. And this is the cage. A lot of work went into the evil that was done here. So we're gonna move out of here and try not to set any bombs off. And remember what we've seen so that the world doesn't forget. What do you dream to be when you grow up?
يصير معلم.
Teacher?
انت شو تتمنى؟
دكتور.
Doctor. How about this man?
طيار.
Pilot. Yeah.
Pilot, yeah.
Okay.
دكتور. مهندس.
Engineer.
So these guys have been here
6 سنين.
6 years.
6 years.
أنا سنة واحدة.
You've been here 6
انت ايش قد صار لك؟
6 سنين تقريبا هنا.
6 years.
So you remember your home?
يقول تتذكر بيتكم من
إيه.
كنتوا قبل؟
Yes. And you miss your home.
يقول مشتاق لبيتكم؟
حيل.
So why does he have to come here?
شنو
من
السبب؟
دواعش.
Because ISIS.
So this is our second camp. It's a camp filled with Sunni Muslims, the same denomination as the radicals in Daesh, and yet entirely different people. In fact, to a person, everyone we've spoken with, when asked why they're here, has answered Daesh. And now that there's been a military defeat of ISIS, my fear and a fear shared by people in this camp is that the world will forget that they're here.
والله يا اخي شفنا مآسي، والله كل ما ادحق عليهم هاي حالتهم، يعني ما اعرف شو اسوي بنفسي يعني. من ادحق عليهم هم شلون صاروا، لا ملابس، لا مادة، دراسة.
So what does he tell the children about home? The ones that are so young that maybe they don't remember home? What do you say to them?
والله احنا كل بين فترة احنا نذكرهم وين كنا، وين صار هم يسولفوا لي، يعني هم يسولفوا لي، يقول بابا، اقول لهم كان بيتنا فلان مكان، حديقتنا فلان مكان، الغرفة فلان مكان، ايش نسوي ايش ما نسوي، وين تطلعون، نطلع على الملعب، اي نعم نطلع على الملعب نلعب الحديقة مالتنا، فاسولف لهم انا كل مرة اذكرهم بهالشكل. كل مرة هذا الارهاب دمرهم، داعش دمرهم، هذا اللي فهموا بيه.
St. Matthew Monastery was founded in the 4th century. It was completely burned 3 times, and every time they will rebuild it again. This is the most important part of the monastery, what we call the House of the Saints, which contains the tomb of St. Matthew.
Everyone is fleeing. We're told upwards of 10,000 Christians are fleeing the area right now.
When ISIS gangs attacked Nineveh Plain, the distance between the monastery and ISIS were not more than 4 kilometers. For more than 2 years, they were trying to attack the monastery.
You're watching ISIS come towards you.
Yes.
If ISIS comes to this church, what happens to the church?
They're gonna take every value things from the monastery. And after that, they're gonna explode the whole building of the monastery.
You don't want to see this monastery gone. You don't want to see this church in this region gone.
That's right.
But you want to see people have a chance to have hope, live without fear, raise their children without fear. How do you balance this?
What we say that the real church is the people. If I cannot guarantee the safety of our people, there is no church anymore.
You know, the numbers that I have are between Iraq and Syria, 3.5 million Christians in 2003, and maybe 400,000 between both countries remaining today.
Maybe in a few years, there is no Christianity anymore here. But as we are here, we give them some hope to stay.
So we're on the road to Syria, in the top northwesternmost corner of Kurdistan. It's not a place where you want to take a wrong turn.
Syria's got such a terrifying reputation.
Well, it's kept the reputation that it's got because there's been mayhem for, you know, what, closing on a decade now. And you get butterflies in your stomach. You've seen the stories, the reports out of places like Raqqa. For me, I'm asking myself, like, what I'm doing, why am I doing it? Am I doing it for the right reasons? It is a strange feeling coming under this bridge again.
Whoa, look at that. Oh,
yeah, wow. So in this part of the world, it's not abnormal for a farmer after he harvests his crop to burn the field to prepare it for plowing the next season. What is abnormal is before the harvest, for entire fields, hundreds and hundreds of acres, to be set ablaze. I mean, the scale of it, anywhere you look, all the way across the horizon. And it was done totally intentionally as an act of war, not against soldiers, but against people.
وبابي مي ومامي دمي أو بحمر تيخ كل ما زنون قوم شهدتها خنادن قو شهدتها خبدن قوم شهدتها خنادن سجارة قوتني شهدتها خبدن قوم شهدتها خنادن قو هول هولا طاوسي ملكا قوم شهيدة إيزيد خانينا قو هون ما هونها بكوجين البر ما أبا ما عاد يقوم البر ديني خدا بين كشتن وشرفونا موسى خدا قو أم ديني وشهدت يا خنادن الوان رشاندن أو ديار جابي ما كشتن يعني تشتكي شوية بزحمة ترنابو باب زلامة دياري جابي زلامة بكوجين.
The Yazidi refugees from one of Iraq's minority religious communities have been sheltering on Mount Sinjar after fleeing advancing militants who seized their homes. IS fighters have already killed at least 500 members of the Yazidi minority, allegedly burying some of their victims alive.
So I want to hear what she's willing to. I don't want her to talk about anything she doesn't want to talk about, either of these women. But what they're willing to talk about, that they want the world to know, I want them to tell the world.
يعني بشتكي مثلا أو فرمان رابو ذاتن مثلا بصداء ملتي إزديم كان دستي وانده أم جلني وانده بون جبيك وقتات حالنا فرودن مثلا هريكي تحط يك جمدبر يعني سوق جمعة شيء كربون يعني مثلا أصلا كيل دستي وانده ما حزار جالس هاد مفرودن.
Guys, I think. Yeah.
مثلا وقت أصعد ما فروتن مثلا جبونا مثلا ليداني جبونا شكنجي جبونا فروتني مثلا مستجارة خو انتحار كي نها أمجي وق جنكا يزدي وق قيجد يزدي أمجي اشترفيتشن يزدي همي البيبين ما تبي دنيا هم بزانبه يعني يجبونا مثلا وقت از درباسي ایشن غالبون راستی جو مثلا یه جاشی آوا بود مثلا یه جاشی جبونا که طولا جنایت ایزیدی را بگه یعنی جبونا چم بریار خدا از تبلی یه جاشی يعني أس خلاص بون بس إجبارك مثلا ما غير إيش كشان وأس خلاص بون راست أنه أس كسايتكم بس بحذارة وكمة يعني إيش جداسيون كشان دم يعني يجبونك أس قربهم مثلا تشتكي جوان ربكم أس جوان ربهم برسف يعني أس تبليه جشي بون.
I mean, she's a hero. She's a hero.
سباس خش. ذاتاً تاكوشنا ماجي سالفيكي تاكوشنا ماجي يعني أم خب باريس لا.
after a lot of pleading over their concerns for my safety, we've managed to set up a trip to the capital of the Caliphate, Raqqa. It's more dangerous today than it was 2 months ago. Multiple deadly bombings in the last month. In planning for this, I received an email wherein I was referred to as a known high-value target. I'm flattered. But the death of any foreigner, even the least important member of Congress or former member, would be a victory for the Caliphate. So today, we move in a convoy. They just found a mass grave in Raqqa this past week. And this is the third major mass grave unearthed in the Raqqa area in the last few months. 3,700 people, 300 people, 200 people, and the bodies tell the stories of the brutality. It's funny because in America, it's a traffic circle, a roundabout. Here, you could call it hell. This fence is the site of a famous photograph of a person crucified with their crimes handwritten on a sign around their neck. They'd encourage the children to come with sticks and stones and beat the bodies to desensitize them to the value of human life. They were told that this was good and this was justice. On these spikes on the original fence on the roundabout, human heads were placed. You see someone peering from a window, or see someone slow their car down, or see someone look just a little bit longer than you think is normal. Thoughts of the worst cross your mind. So the stadium here in Raqqa was a place where people were brought to be tortured, to be murdered, for the amusement of some, for the indoctrination and intimidation of others. Hundreds of prisoners held under this stadium, incarcerated in the worst imaginable conditions. There's a million stories, none of them good. They used to take people who weren't obedient to Daesh, cage them here, and put their loved one's head in the cage with them. Use people as target practice. The idea that in every one of these cells someone might have been tortured or suffered. Nameless, numberless people died. This is for prisoners in here.
Yes.
Inshallah.
How's that feel to be in there for months?
Well, look. You see this? This may be names, dates, time. And their crime was what? That they didn't agree that their neighbors were their enemies, that they didn't agree that God wasn't a loving and forgiving God. Cages where human beings were kept. This is, yeah. So this is unexploded ordnance on the ground. And they leave their clothes when they run away. So many Daesh changed into civilian clothes, and even now, the remnants exist. Yeah.
Time, I think.
Okay, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm ready. And get everybody else. The premise of my talk is that foreign policy that is centered on religious freedom and minority rights will drive good outcomes for all humans. I studied history and education in the university. I served 6 years in the United States Army. I served about 1 year in Bosnia after Srebrenica to protect a Muslim minority from an aggressive Serbian Orthodox majority. I studied law and served as a prosecutor and served as a member of Congress in the United States. I believe that there is a role for people of faith to create government, but there is never a role for government to create people of faith. the West should stop aiding any nation or entity that does not respect its ethnic and religious minorities. How you treat the least of those is how you treat your Creator. I can't even wrap my brain around the idea that the place where I grew up might have become a scene of horror. And it's interesting, what can be a dream? A normal life with regular running water and electricity, tolerance for your neighbors can be a dream. I don't have fear, I have hope. So as you can see, everything in the world is right here. You gotta look for it. Some of it may be a lot fresher than home. Almost everything's organic. How much for 1 kilo?
Wara.
Spots.
Do not pass too early. Some of us we pass too early. You're like 5 meters, 7 meters away.
I like to think I'm in relatively good shape for a 47-year-old man. I'm pretty sure these guys would kick my ass. These guys are smashing the fool out of each other, but I think they like each other. Here tonight we picked out expats, people who aren't from here. Australia, Austria. Norway. Somebody at home told you, you can't go to Iraq. You're going to be subject to horrible things. It's not safe.
Oh, yeah. My mum lost her mind.
Well, they talk about like kidnapping, attacks, terrorist attacks, wars. But at least in Erbil and like a lot of the Kurdistan region, it's not really a threat.
I mean, this is a mixed crowd. This is a Muslim crowd, a Christian crowd.
Yeah, even if you look at the team playing over there, it's a real mix of people.
Another thing a lot of people don't understand about Iraq is it's so pluralistic.
Right.
It's not just a Muslim country with a Christian minority. It's Yazidi, Shabak, Mendai, Sabian people, atheists. I grew up like post 9/11. That was my interest in the Middle East. And so we heard about all these things on the news, but we didn't get to necessarily put a face to it. I meet people from all over the country. I mean, a lot of people, they want to return to their homes. They want to return to their cities within Iraq, within Kurdistan. But they want it to be safe.
والله يومية من نجي على الفراش وقولتك نريد ننام. يا ربي استر علينا، يا ربي يحفظنا، يا ربي يحفظ الأمة. اللهم ارزقنا الأمن والأمان، يعني بس إنه تعدي الليلة هاي على خير.
One moment, please.
Я тримаю ствол на готові. Я вигляну бер! В деяких випадках це може і так виглядати. Бам-бам, 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 бам-бам. Господи, Сину і Святому Духові, і нині повсякчас на віки вічні. Амінь. Пресвятай Тройці, довери нас, Господи, очисти віки наші. Крию! Крию! Як ти діва даєш молоко із грудей твоїх, як годуєш від